Okay, so this is not going to be a really fun video to shoot, but it's something that I really want to put out because there are a few of you that do come across this point in your career, and some of you might need to think about this either today or fairly soon. And the topic is, of course, when to actually give up, when to sort of throw in the towel and say, you know what, I've tried it. I really gave it my all. I put a lot of effort and time and energy into the sync licensing stuff. It just didn't work out for me. I wasn't feeling like I was making forward progress enough to keep going. Um, and I don't know if I should stick around or not. And I've definitely myself been through this stage a few times in my career. So it's not like you go through this once and you never cross it again. I almost felt like in the first couple of years of my career, it was every royalty payment day I went through this because the royalties were so small and very underwhelming that it was always like, well, should I keep doing this or not? There was always this sort of fork in the road. But the part of this video that I'm a little bit, not happy that I want to make, but I do think it's important to make is that I really do think that some people shouldn't be in this business. And I'm not trying to be the judge of that. I'm not trying to say that I know who should or shouldn't, because I don't know. Who do I know? Why would I know that? But I really do feel that there are some people who are sort of banging their head against the wall, and they're doing it for way too long when the sort of writing is on the wall that this is just not the right fit for them. And so maybe they need to realize that it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you're a loser. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy of success. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that this one particular little field, sync licensing, just isn't for you. And that's okay. And there's a lot of things that I've tried in my life that weren't exactly for me. But if I sort of say, well, that means I'm just worthless and I can't succeed at anything because that one thing that I tried didn't work out, well, I wouldn't have moved on and tried new things. I wouldn't have tried sync licensing, actually. So I want to just put essentially four sort of reasons why I would consider giving up on this business if these things happen to me, okay? And I'm not going to talk about how much money you're making, how long you've been doing it, how many tracks you get accepted, how many times you've been rejected by libraries. That stuff is actually irrelevant because you can have tons and tons of rejections. You can have very little royalties. You can have all these things that don't seem like things are working out well for you, but you still want to move forward with the business because it's still providing some benefits to you. So I want to basically just show you four, I guess you could call them attitudes, mindsets, or just states of emotion that you might be going through. And if you're going through these, this is the time to think about whether or not you want to continue down this road, okay? So we're actually going to start with the most important one. We'll work our way down to I wouldn't call it the least important, but I definitely want to just start with the one that I think is actually more relevant to all of us, okay? Number one is if you're not having fun at all doing this, okay? So it doesn't mean that you wouldn't have some struggles. I still have struggles in this business. All of you that are doing this, either part-time or full-time, you still have struggles. And ask anybody who's doing this full-time, there's still struggles, okay? So I don't mean there's not going to be struggles in the business, but I really mean that you wake up, you go to your DAW, and you're just like banging your head against your screen. You hate it. You don't feel like you're getting better. And you actually find that you're just getting more sour and more bitter and more frustrated. And you realize, you know what? I used to have fun making music. Music used to be a joy. Used to be a joy in my life. And now it's become this chore, this source of pain, of agony, of aggravation. Okay, if you've been sitting there for a long time, not good, right? Music should be a fun, joyful experience for you, even though it can be challenging, even though you can face rejection, even though it can be hard to swallow some humility pills when you realize you got some work to do on your music. But there's still, at the core of it all, should be this sense of excitement that you get from being creative and creating music. So if you're not even getting that, that's the time to think about getting out of this, because it'll be a long time before you make any money. And if you are really hating life going through the early stages of your career, forget about it. You're not going to get to the point where this is doing well for you, okay? So just make sure there's some fun and creativity and joy and excitement still in your process, okay? Number two, you really don't feel any sense of progress at all. And this is maybe after you've tried like everything. You've looked at tutorials, you maybe gotten some feedback, you have studied some reference tracks, you've really basically educated yourself, got the best tools you possibly can, got some plugins, got some mixing plugins, that kind of thing, whatever. And after everything you've been doing for months or maybe a year or two, you're still not going forward. I've had a few students in this position, and they are always, it's really a tough conversation to have, because I can only do so much for my students. I can only teach you so much. I can only show you so much. I can only give so much feedback. At the end of the day, you guys really are your own teachers, though. It comes down to you opening up your DAW, taking what you've learned and applying it. Some people, quick learners, for whatever reason, they can master this stuff. They can start to figure out the puzzle pieces. They can kind of put this structure together that works for licensable music. Others, it's just still feels like Chinese to them. It's just such a foreign language. It's hard to understand. It's, let alone hard to maybe even like master their DAW. They're still learning how to do that. So they're trying to basically conquer all these new skills all at once. And it's just a much slower process. And they're just not feeling like, hey, at this rate, it'll be 10 years before I have an album that's ready to be even pitched to a library. Am I ready to do this for 10 years? Chances are maybe this is not the right fit for you. Maybe there's another endeavor for you to do with your music, with your creativity in some way where you find results much quicker and you actually see like, you know what, I'm making more progress over here doing this and I'm having fun doing it. It might just be a signal for you to maybe think about taking that exit point and finding something else, okay? And number three, if there is any like unmanageable stress or anxiety that's sort of creeping into your family life or maybe even into your work, into your day job, where it's like just trying to fit all of this productivity into your life is basically causing your marriage or your relationship with your kids or anybody in your house to start to strain. Maybe it's sort of reflecting in your job where you might be losing your job or people are looking at you differently because you're coming in late and you're leaving early and you're just completely distracted because you're only thinking about this music stuff. So if it's starting to basically negatively impact your daily life, sometimes that can be just a matter of managing things better, managing your time better, and having better conversations with the people around you. You might not just be miscommunicating, but sometimes that means that there's just so much stress involved with doing this that it's just not really worth it, right? I mean, being able to create full-time music with your income with your music is certainly important and certainly something that many of us are striving for, but it's not worth destroying your family over. It's not worth probably losing your job over and then having your whole family be destitute because there's no income coming in because you were so just wrapped up in this future career that wasn't really ready yet. So I don't want anybody definitely following me to be jeopardizing their important relationship in their life for this. So try to keep things on an even keel, try to have good relationships, have good boundaries, carve some time out for yourself, but also give yourself back to your family, to your coworkers, to your job in a way that you feel strikes the right balance. So, but if it's impossible and you're just drowning in all the stress of all this stuff, it's not worth it. Go find something else to do with your time. There are other great, amazing things you can do that don't involve this much stress or time or dedication, right? And then last, definitely not least, but it would be if you're only becoming and feeling more insecure about your music as you go into this business. So everybody in the very beginning feels fairly insecure. I did, probably all of you guys did. But as a couple of months go by, maybe a year or two goes by, maybe you get that first acceptance from a library or you get some feedback or something, you should feel a little bit like, oh, okay, I think I'm kind of getting this now. I'm sort of starting to understand how this is going. And then you should have this little gradual feeling of confidence building that you are doing something right. You might not be getting those placements yet. You might not even be accepted by a library yet, but you feel that there's progress. You feel that there's a confidence growing in you, and that confidence can grow and grow and grow to the point where you could do this full time. So you don't feel that at all, and you only feel just insecure, and you feel more lost, and you feel more like you don't even know if you have the right kind of talent for this business. That could be a sign that maybe this is the time to, again, find your exit point and get into a different situation, a different business, a different endeavor that's just better suited for you. And that's really what all this comes down to. Like I said in the beginning, it doesn't reflect on you as a person, as a productive person, as somebody who's worthy of success or getting what you want out of life. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that maybe this one little area was just not the right fit for your personality, your skills, your workflow. Everybody has their sort of spark where they shine. That I really do believe that. I think everybody has this place in their life where, you want to get a fence built, you go to Bob. Bob is amazing at building fences. You want your studio to be acoustically treated, you go to this guy. This guy's got that. Everybody's got something that they just really click with and they can figure out and they love it and they're great at it. And so it kind of merges into them. And the big journey, I think, in life for many of us is just trying to find that. It's just exposing yourself to so many different things to the point where one of them goes, hey, I like this, pretty good at it. I think I can keep doing this. That was actually, for me, what the click was with sync licensing. I'll be honest. I was trying to be in bands. I was trying to go to studios, trying to get featured on artist records, trying to get a record deal with my band, trying to do all that stuff that a lot of us have tried to do. But it wasn't until I got into sync licensing where, the same skills I had, the same songwriting skills, producing skills, playing guitar, playing drums, same stuff I was doing. But when I went over here, it was like, got a contract, got a little bit of money in my bank account. I got a consideration fee check the first album I put out. And then after it was like, I don't know, a year or two, I got like a royalty. And I was like, damn, like it's working. It's kind of cool. It's like I'm seeing confidence that like this is growing, this is working. It's not a lot, but it's something. And I love it. Like I'm still able to create the music that I love to create. I was creating the exact type of music that I wanted to create. And I was getting slowly paid for it over and over again. So I had this feeling of like, wow, I've kind of found where this stuff meets. I think I can get this stuff. I think I understand it. And I love it. And it's working out. So this is going to be where I'm going to go. So you guys got to find where in life those two things, or three things, I guess, line up for you. And it's okay if it doesn't line up in sync licensing. Just know that I don't think you're a failure. I don't think you're a loser. I don't think any of that stuff. I think you're very brave to try this out, to give it a shot, to see if this is something that can work out for you. And for you to even go to that extra level to say, you know what, I gave it a shot. Now I need to sort of put it down and realize this is not for me. I think you're even braver actually to do that, because admitting that we went on a path that wasn't right for us, really hard to do, right? Because we want to find all these reasons to keep going towards a path if we really want to do it. And sometimes you have that humility to go, you know what? I can hold my head high that I gave it my best. I really tried everything. And of course, big caveat with all this is do not at all give up until you've tried everything, right? I don't want you guys to prematurely go, well, it's really hard this week, so I might as well give up. You guys, I think, know that like you really just obviously need to have some, long-term commitment to this. Give it a shot for at least a year or two, I think, to see if you're going to be going forward. But if you in your heart feel that you've done everything, you've given it a long time and it's not getting there, take this for what it's worth. And I salute you for your choice, either way you want to go. But I definitely wanted to feel, or I definitely felt that this was an important message to put out there. So let me know what you guys think below. I'd love to hear your comments on this one.